Good evening, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this evening, woman accused of stabbing neighbor to go on trial in June. A woman accused of chopping her neighbor during a dispute is set to go to trial in June 2025. 54-year-old Shireen Moore is alleged to have inflicted a deep wound to the finger of her 59-year-old male neighbor during an altercation and has been charged with unlawful wounding. According to the complainant, he and Moore got into an argument after she bumped into him. He claimed that the argument escalated and Moore used a machete to chop him, leading to the injury. Moore, however, provided a different account. She told the court that the complainant was in her way as she entered the back door of the property. When she bumped into him, he reportedly pushed her and then charged at her with a half-lash, a small machete. She said she ran into the kitchen and grabbed the machete before acting in self-defense. Moore also claimed this was not the first time the complainant had acted aggressively toward her. After hearing Moore's version of events, Senior Parish Judge Sanchi Burrell encouraged her to bring this to trial and to tell it with the same level of conviction. The judge asked the man if he would consider mediation, but he declined, stating he wanted damages instead. Judge Burrell responded sharply, "Everybody is asking for money, and this is not a money court." When asked to specify an amount, the man did not provide an answer. The trial has been set for June 19, 2025. 42-year-old taxi operator charged with abduction, rape of 14-year-old student. A 42-year-old taxi operator has been charged with the forcible abduction and rape of a 14-year-old student of a St. Catherine address. Information reaching the news is that the suspect, Dina Atkin, of Greater Portmore in the parish, picked up the complainant and other passengers at the Portmore Mall on October 3. He reportedly drove to the 17 route and then detoured onto the 20 route, where he dropped off all the other passengers, leaving the complainant alone with him in the car. It is further alleged that the accused then drove along Hillshire Road, where he turned into the Breton community, parked the car on an open lot, and locked all the doors to prevent the complainant from leaving the vehicle. He then held down the complainant and had sexual intercourse with her against her will. The accused was apprehended by the police on November 13 and was subsequently charged after he was positively identified by the complainant in an identification parade, and a question and answer interview was done with him in the presence of his attorney. Man shot dead near Halfway Tree Transport Center. A man died from bullet wounds he sustained during a gun attack near the transport center in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew on Tuesday. The man was loading vehicles at the intersection of North Odeon Avenue and the Constant Spring Road sometime before 6 p.m. when he was approached by a man who shot him. Assistant Commissioner Gary McKenzie, head of the Public Safety and the Traffic Enforcement Branch, told the news that members of his team who were in the area responded, but the gunman escaped. He said that the wounded man was taken to the hospital but later died. The shooting caused a panic among commuters who were awaiting transportation in the evening rush hour. 12-year-old boy fatally stabbed, teen girl in custody. A 14-year-old female student is in custody following the fatal stabbing of a 12-year-old boy on Tuesday afternoon in downtown Kingston. He has been identified as Omar Colley, a first-form student at Denham Town High School. Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, head of the Kingston Western Police Division, told the news that the students got into an altercation along West Queen Street about 3:20 p.m. The girl reportedly used a comb to inflict stab wounds to the chest of the boy. He was taken to Kingston Public Hospital, where he later died. SSP Phipps said the girl is in custody at a juvenile correctional center. The police are trying to determine the circumstances that led to the deadly altercation. Court of Appeal rejects application of 4 men convicted of 2009 murder. The Court of Appeal has rejected the appeal of 4 men who were convicted for the murder of an 18-year-old man in Hanover 15 years ago. Javine Jones of Claremont, Hanover, was stabbed 42 times on October 9, 2009, and his body dumped beside a river. In rejecting appeal, the Court of Appeal described the murder as heinous and gruesome and emphasized that the deceased was essentially butchered. The appellants, Alex Hemmings, Travis Findelater, Hakil Scott, and Denny Williams of Claremont, had argued that the convictions should have been overturned on the basis that the judge erred in not upholding the no-case submissions and freeing them based on the circumstances in which the cautioned statements were given. The lawyers for the men also submitted that the judge should have left manslaughter for the jury's consideration in the case of 3 of the men, Williams, Findelater, and Hemmings. But this was rebuffed by prosecutors who argued that a direction in manslaughter would not have been appropriate because the evidence pointed to the men as accessories to the murder. Prosecutors had reported at the trial that Jones, who was also known as Tyson and Heartless, was stabbed 35 times to the front of the neck, and the other wounds were to the chest and the left side of the back. The men had given caution statements in which they admitted that Scott stabbed Jones and they allegedly dragged the body through bushes to the river. It was reported that the men had a dispute over a missing gun. The men were convicted of the murder on November 2016 and sentenced in January 2017 to life imprisonment. The judge ordered Scott to serve 30 years before he was eligible for parole, while the other men were ordered to serve 25 years before being eligible for parole. PNP caretaker calls for reopening of Kint Postal Agency. PNP caretaker for St. Andrew East Rural, Patrick Peterkin, is questioning the failure to reopen the Kint Postal Agency. The postal agency was scheduled to be opened on Monday after months of preparation. The facility was refurbished and the training provided to a clerk in anticipation of the reopening. But Mr. Peterkin says late instructions from the Postmaster General's office abruptly halted the reopening.
This is unacceptable. Our residents deserve access to essential services, not unnecessary delays caused by political interference. We are calling on the relevant authorities to act immediately to reopen the postal agency. The people of Kint deserve better.
Manhunt launched after murder of Brayton St. Catherine businessman. The community of Brayton in St. Catherine is in shock following the tragic shooting death of 62-year-old businessman Joseph Lewis on Tuesday afternoon. According to police from the St. Catherine South Division, Lewis was attacked around 2:30 p.m. He was quickly rushed to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries shortly after arrival. Authorities have launched a manhunt for the perpetrator responsible, and as the investigation continues, no motive has been established for the murder, leaving both the police and the members of the community puzzled and concerned. Lewis, one resident of the area, said was known for his contributions to the local business scene. Police are urging anyone with information on the shooting to come forward and assist with the investigation. February 17 mentioned date in West Maradona circuit for Mario Dean case. The case involving 3 police personnel who are charged in connection with the 2014 beating death of St. James resident Mario Dean has been given a February 17, 2025 mentioned date in the West Maradona Circuit Court. The date was announced when the accused appeared before Supreme Court Judge Justice Bertram Morrison in the St. James Circuit Court following a transfer hearing on Thursday. Dean, 31, was beaten while in custody at the Barnett Street Police Station lockup in Montego Bay, St. James on August 3, 2014 for possession of a ganja spliff, and died 3 days later at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay. The case has been postponed many times since the 3 police personnel's initial appearance in the St. James Circuit Court on September 18, 2018. There has been a major challenge to get a jury empaneled for the case, which has been set for trial for some time. Corporal Elaine Stewart, along with the constables Juliana Cleavon and Marlon Grant, were arrested and charged with manslaughter, misconduct in a public office, and perverting the course of justice in relation to Dean's death. Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.